Hi, hello, my Clarity Couch members. How are you doing? How is the going? Have you been learning? Have you been discovering yourself? Have you started the journey of knowing yourself yet? Well, you still have time. Anyway, did you know that your personality actually exists in two versions or has two versions? A healed version and a wounded version, a wounded or a shadow version. For example, an introvert can either be deeply thoughtful or emotionally shut down. That's an introvert. One personality, two different existences. Or an extrovert can either inspire people or desperately seek attention. Now, the difference between the two versions, the healed and the wounded version, usually appears when you are stressed, like under very high level stress conditions, when you're hurt or when you're feeling a bit insecure. You have a tendency to want to protect yourself, and mostly the bad or the wounded side is what will show up. So in this video, we will break down the 6 personality traits that we have covered before. We have covered this in episode 3 and in episode 4. We will break down the 6 personality traits and show how the healed version and the shadow or the wounded version, manifest and people don't even notice. So if this looks like something that you want to find out, please stick around. And with that, I'm So Mwangi, welcoming you to the Clarity Couch. If it's your first time tuning into the Clarity Couch, welcome. Feel at home. Here we learn ourselves, we rediscover ourselves every day. We get to know who we are beyond what the society says or what your circle says you are. Like, who are you really? Are you living in your best authentic self? That is our business here. If you have been with me since day one, you guys, you are the real OGs. You are the real deal. Thank you so much for patronizing me. Thank you so much for staying on. And thank you for keeping me company as we walk this journey together. Remember, I won't tire of reminding us that we are not broken. We are not trying to fix anyone or anything. Rather, we are trying to discover and rediscover ourselves layer by layer, lesson by lesson, getting to know who we are beyond the noise, beyond what the society has dictated or what your inner circle has said you are. We are trying to get to our authentic self. And how will we do that? By looking within. And I keep repeating this thing a lot, looking within. And you may wonder, what exactly does she mean when she says looking within? When I say looking within, I had a quote that says, "He who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens or evolves." And what does this mean really? It simply means, I'm sure we all have that one person that we look up to, like a role model, someone that we look up to and say, wow, I would want to become that person one day. You see, as long as it's you saying that you want to become that person, then you keep dreaming. It's like just a person in a dream. You're sleeping and you're dreaming until you actualize that dream, then it remains that a dream. But if you look up to that person and then take the next step and do what you're supposed to do, or take the necessary steps to try and become like that person that you really look up to. How do they behave? How are their behavior? How are their tendencies? What is their aura? You try to emulate that person that you want to become, so that in a few years time, or with time, you become that person that you want to become. Because you see, the fact that that person is motivating you means there's something in them that you'd want to become. But you see, we said you cannot really become another person. You can only make yourself better to become the best version of yourself. And you see, again, we keep saying motivation won't change your life. Like, you motivate, you can read all the books that you want. You can listen to all the motivational speakers that you want to listen to. But as long as your habits, your behavior does not change, it's in the small things. That is what will make you start and become the person that you want to become successively. Like, we have to see a change in your behavior. We have to know to see small, gradual, subtle, gradual changes that will eventually culminate into this big, notable change, and there will be no chance of you going back to the person that you were before. So start now. Take those small steps, baby steps, and don't, when you fall, we said you don't stop there. You stand up, shake off the dust, and continue moving. And we are moving towards what? The goal here is to become the best version of yourself. In episode 3, we discussed the 6 personality traits. And I believe by now you've categorized yourself accordingly, or where you fit. And you said you don't just belong to one of the 6. You can be in 3 of the 6. You can be in 4 of the 6. Okay? And that's the importance of getting curious and wanting to know yourself, because then what it means is that you get to know when you're existing in a not so healthy way. You get to borrow the healthy of the other personality trait and integrate it to self. That was episode 3. In episode 4, we discussed about how visible these personality traits are, which we called tools, by the way. We said we choose to use them as tools because they are tools. They enable us to socialize. So in episode 4, we discussed about the visibility of these tools to the people around us, or the people we interact with. And something very fascinating that we learned was that there's a blind area, an area that you as yourself you are totally blind to. Like, you are totally unaware. However, the others, those who are experiencing you, can see this side of you, and you are totally unaware of it. Why? Because it's you existing in your natural self, or what you've been conditioned to, that it almost appears like that is who I am. We say it, the cancer of that's who I am. They'll get used to me. That's where it exists. Now, imagine that you're existing in your wounded state, or in your wounded personality, unawares. Imagine the damage that you will go causing because you think you're perfect. You wonder why people avoid you. You wonder why when you pass, or when, be it a workplace, be it, you can only notice this where there's a group of other people. So you are in a group of these other people, and you notice that there's a weird vibe that goes on. Like, it's like they don't take you fully into the circle. Like, there's some avoidance when it comes to dealing with you. And this is the importance of emotional intelligence. Again, another topic that we've not covered, or self-awareness, which is what we are covering every day. Because with self-awareness, you get to notice, here, there's a problem. And then you call yourself into a meeting. Guys, I'm not teaching you how to, I'm not teaching you false confidence. No, I'm not teaching you false confidence. I'm teaching you the kind of evolving, when you grow, when you see what you're doing, when you walk the journey of knowing and growing yourself step by step, there's a pride that comes with it. There's some self-realization that comes with it. Like, you don't walk ignorantly. Ignorance has no defense. So you cannot just walk around wounding people, people avoiding you, and you think that everyone is the problem. At some point, you need to step back and wonder, okay, has happened severally. What exactly is going on? Or you notice a pattern, especially with people here. You notice a pattern. There's this circle of people that you used to know, and all of a sudden, they're no longer vibing to you. You are no longer close. And when you look at it closely, yes, you've not wronged them, but they somehow want to stay out far away from you. Why? Maybe it's because the way you're showing up to them, your personality type, your tool is working against you. Is yes, it is your personality, yes, but it's crossing borders. It's rubbing them off the wrong way. And because, again, you could be unapproachable, they cannot tell you, because we said for you to be able to learn, you have to be humble enough to take in the positive criticism and be willing to work on it and become better, improve yourself. And that's why, again, we have the unknown area, which we said we can only, it's not known to you, it's not known by others. But when something is made known to you, then what step do you take next? That's where self-awareness comes in. That is where discovery comes in. Like, you stay curious, remain open to learning, because learning never ends. And I wish we can focus our energy into knowing ourselves, because there is always so much to learn, so much to know, so much to discover, but we'll only discover it if you're willing. An interesting thing that I came across: you don't break ice with a hammer, but you break ice with steady warmth. So again, this your wounded personality, you won't change it ASAP. You won't change it in a blink of an eye. You won't change it instantly. It's something that will take time, because this has formed, you have conditioned yourself into a certain. We said how you show this wounded state is during stressful conditions, when you're hurt, or when you're feeling insecure. So you find that as an introvert, you withdraw. As an extrovert, you overexpress. As a thinker, you detach. These are the personality traits. As a feeler, you absorb. As a planner, you tend to control. And as a spontaneous person, you tend to show avoidance tendencies. Now, these are not things you'll stop in a blink of an eye, or just like this. It will take you so much practice. It will take you so much patience. It will take you so much grace with self for you to finally say that, wow, I have overcome this monster. Imagine yourself in a relationship, for example, in a relationship, and every time you get mad, every time you get into an argument with your significant other, you detach. In your world, you think you're not doing any harm. And for sure, you are not, because you have detached. You are not talking to anyone, so there's nothing much you're doing in your world. But in your better halves, in your significant other's eyes, you are doing more harm than good. Because what does this detachment mean? What does this withdrawal mean? It means that you're not communicating to them, one. And communication is the way that we bridge gaps, right? It's the way that we get to normalcy through communication, because again, we are very different individuals. So if you just stay in your world and I stay in my world, what are we doing exactly? Yeah. You're not talking to them, so you're making them overthink, you're making them overanalyze, you're making them go crazy. And that's not being mindful. That is not being considerate. And this is what we are calling wounded state, because you think you are quiet, you are in your world, you've detached, you've withdrawn. So because you're not talking to them, then no harm is happening. But do you see the harm that you are doing on the other side? Yeah, you're trying to protect yourself, so you're getting into a safety mode, and this safety mode is affecting others, because then you it means showing up in your wounded state unconsciously. Yeah, this journey of self-awareness and becoming the best versions of ourselves requires a lot of patience and requires a lot of sincerity from our end. Because if you keep denying it, if you don't accept it to begin with, there's nothing that you are doing. You have to accept there is a problem. You have to see where the problem is and then start the journey, because you cannot heal what you do not know. Yeah, you cannot. It is impossible to heal that which you do not know, or that which you do not recognize. Otherwise, you'll continue defending yourself or showing up in a defensive way and call it caution. Yes, you say, I'm just being cautious. But in the hindsight, you're just being defensive, you're gaslighting people, you're wounding people and calling it caution. You are showing up in your in your fearful state and calling it logic, because once, for example, we said fillers will take a lot of time before you can make a decision, and introverts before you can make a decision. But why are you taking time? It's because you're fearful, you're afraid. There's a form of fear that you really can't overcome, a fear within you that you can't beat. So you continue to label and express this fear as logic. You say you're applying logic, you're taking your time, you're being logical and taking your time to think things through. But you can only take so much time, and time waits for no man. So the more time you take, the more the more a person who is half as talented as you is taking shining out here. Because you're not fearful because you're not capable. No, it's just because there's this fear you can't beat. You're overthinking things, or you are hesitating and you are labeling it as you getting prepared. I'm just getting ready. I'm getting ready. I'm preparing myself. But you've been hesitating for so long, for many years, for 3 years, like me. Do you know how long I took to start this podcast? It has taken me, I think, 3 years. Imagine, 3 years is what I have taken to bring this gold to you people. Because the first time I should have started this was in 2024. I actually took my sister with me, went to a field and shot a whole episode. But then there was a lot of wind, there was a lot of interference, self-doubt, and after listening to the video, I concluded that it was not good enough. And that is how 2024 passed me by, 2025 passed me by, and now I'm here, 2026, finally. I've decided to do it. And it's not to say that I wasn't afraid as I was starting. Hey, my goodness. Hey, I was still afraid. But we've said it's a choice. It's a conscious choice that you make. You just decide to go forth and do it afraid. Do you know, actually, this week's episode almost didn't come by. Why? Because the imposter syndrome was kicking. It had come at me full throttle. And I almost listened to it, actually, and I would have given the excuse that I was busy, which is true. I was kind of busy, but I don't think I was busy enough to not bring an episode. It was the imposter syndrome that was doing the most. But I thank God I am walking the journey. And that's the beauty of healing, guys. You don't listen to your fears, you don't listen to your excuses, you do it anyway. I've been talking to myself, convincing myself that, so you can do this, you got this. Encouraging myself. And I'm glad that this talk has got somewhere and I've been able to shoot. And that's the positivity I'm teaching you about, guys. And I'm not teaching you toxic positivity. No. I just want you to believe in yourself. Because you see, when you exist in your wounded state, you don't talk positively to yourself. Because again, you cannot see and do beyond how you see yourself. So if you think you are capable to a certain level or you think you're incapable, then you teach your brain that you are incapable, and it will sure not be capable to do what you want it to do. But if you tell it, yes, you can, yes, I can, yes, you can, yes, we can, then you, against all odds, will try to do that what you're supposed to do and to improve yourself, because you've conditioned your brain that you can, and your brain will try to translate that, you see, the dream thing into reality. Yes, it will try to transform that now into a reality. Now I want us to get to the various ways in which your wounded state shows up unconsciously, subconsciously. It's almost like a reflex action. And I'll remind you that as long as you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will keep controlling you and you will call it fate. And it's quite unfortunate that you allow this unconscious state to take control, because you see, we are calling it wounded. When you're wounded, what do you do when you have a wound? You want to take the necessary precautions to actually heal the wound. That's the process. When you go to the hospital, when you get a bandage, that's the process of healing the wound. We want to heal our wounded personalities, because we want to exist in our healthy personalities, because only then can we exist in our best selves. Yeah, when we say we have become because we are existing in our healthy personalities. And what is a healthy personality? A healthy person, when you notice a person speaking and you say, wow, admirable, what is it that we notice? We notice high self-awareness, yeah, and high emotional regulation, high resilience, and they are very adaptable to the environment. The opposite of what I've described is what we are calling the wounded, because if you're not adaptable, then you're too rigid. A wounded person will only allow things to happen how they know it. And that's why it becomes very dangerous or very, very impossible for people to interact with you, because what you know is what you know, and that is what passes in your world. Because again, to you, you see, we said you're in a certain cocoon, and you're trying to safeguard yourself. It's your safety net, and you cannot imagine that net, that world you've created for yourself, will crumble. So you don't allow people to filtrate through. And you see, you're doing this unconsciously. And remembering the blind spot in our last episode there, people will notice this, but you will not notice what you are doing at the expense of others. So you you will be rigid. You will be reactive, because the opposite of being emotionally regulated is you being reactive. You react through everything. Someone says something and you want to give them, you want to shoot back what they have said to you. And maturity is also knowing that not everything needs a reaction from you. Yeah. Another way that you manifest your woundedness or your wounded personality is if you always think that it's too early to start something. Like you're supposed to do something, but for you, it's too early. It's too early. Like you keep pushing it forward. Or when you think that others are better. Who will help us do ABCD? Yes, you can. You know you can. But you're looking at person A because you think they can do it better. Why not you? Do it yourself. Like, have so much confidence in yourself that you're not afraid to make mistakes, because don't we learn through mistakes? That is how we learn. And the confidence, you volunteering to do it at the first go, show some level of confidence, so show some level of emotional regulation, some level of self belief in self, and all this shows us that you're healthy. Again, if you wait a bit too long, you wait a bit too long to get things done. These are things that we do in our daily lives, that we may think are harmless, but over time are speaking volumes. When you get into a fight with a pig, you'll get mad. Unfortunate bit is you are wrestling with a pig and the pig is enjoying this fiasco because that's what it does. But for you who knows better, why are you not doing better? You don't have to react through everything. You can just listen, take in what has been said to you, and just walk away. That is maturity at its highest level. Now, we sometimes think we are not wounded, but we are wounded is, are you there and you don't know how to take compliments? Like someone tells you, oh, you are very smart today. You start deflecting the compliments and say, he ngwaya 20 bob, he ngwaya mtush. Who asked you? Kama ni mtush ama ni mpya, they just noticed that you are very smart. They complimented you. You would just have said, oh, thank you, and moved on. But you're there deflecting the compliment, trying to over-explain yourself, trying to trying to look, I don't know, like it's so hard for you to take in a compliment. You need to ask yourself, why? Why is it so hard for me to take in a compliment? Don't I think I'm worth that much? Don't I think I'm worthy of that compliment? Because you see, there's some self-doubt in you, and that's why it's hard for you to accept this compliment. Yeah? Do you hesitate to take up opportunities? Where is the hesitation coming from? Because if you are completely healed, if you're not wounded, then it means this hesitation will not be there. I know we take our time to think, but you can only take so much time. So if you hesitate to take up opportunities, then there's some work that needs to be done, my friend. If you postpone ideas, hey, Jehovah. So who is healed here now? If you postpone ideas, there's something there. Because why is procrastination or postponing things almost looks like a lifestyle to you? That's how that's not how it's supposed to be. Yes, I understand. When you postpone an idea because it's not the right time, maybe you want to launch something that is only relevant in winter. So you have to wait until winter or a certain period for it to make sense. But you cannot always postpone things and then want to say that you are okay. You are running away from something. You are escaping something. There's something in you that you are yet to heal. There's something you need to introspect within yourself to be able to take up, to believe in yourself, to believe in your ideas, to not second guess yourself. A bit of TMI. Me, I think when it comes to my personal life, I think my love life is where I've suffered the most. I have sabotaged myself a lot because I don't want to get hurt. I've been hurt before and I don't want to get hurt again. Yeah. So what does Sue do? Sue will overanalyze a person's words. Madhani, I will overanalyze. I put up emotional walls. I second guess my feelings. I'm hyper vigilant. I'm hyper aware. So I constantly analyze behavior. The problem with analyzing someone's behavior is that you keep interrogating their intentions. You keep interrogating everything they say, every word they say. You are listening to what is being said and what is not being said. And that has a tendency of you talking yourself out of, when we say it, extroverts talk themselves out of wisdom. Now, this overanalyzing will make you miss out a good person because no one is perfect. And this your microscopic analysis will make you read too much into something that probably was nothing. Yeah, maybe a person was just trying to be funny. Maybe they were just trying to beat some fear that was in them, and they said something, and now you're stuck with that thing in your head, and that is what you are analyzing. So you miss out on something really good just because you want to protect yourself, you don't want to hurt yourself. But by doing this, do you think you are not hurting yourself? Because it's not that you don't want this thing, you want it, but you are not in a state that allows you to enjoy it. Because when will you analyze it and when will you enjoy it? Yeah. So you answer yourself. And as long as we are in these wounded states, then we will not be able to progress. Yeah. And you've seen how these personalities can affect you and affect the people around you. And not until we become aware can then we manage to work on them. Only when you become aware of something are you able to work on it. So if you don't understand these wounded states that you're existing in, then you'll not be able to make good of it. And we said these blind spots, the ones we covered in our previous episodes, these personality types that we are choosing to call tools, these wounded and healthy personality traits, they are all forming part of you becoming your best version of yourself. When we say you are becoming, you have to incorporate all these aspects, make them work to your good. You may be asking, how then do I show up in a healthy, or what really does it mean to show up in a healthy state? We said when you are healthy, when you have healed the wounds that you have, the ones that the way you've been conditioned, because those are the ones, when you have finally healed them, your self-awareness heightens, your emotional regulation is very high, it's notable, your resilience increases, and you're very adaptable to situations. How then does that show up? In our personalities, the 6 that we discussed, is an introvert who can socialize when needed, because we said introverts keep to themselves. An extrovert who is comfortable with silence. Extroverts can talk, they express themselves, they want to interact, they want to keep hearing other people's ideas. Like, that is how they recharge, by interacting and expressing themselves. But an extrovert who takes a minute and is comfortable actually in their silence, then that's a healthy extrovert. Or a thinker. We said thinkers they use logic, but logic alone is not enough. So a thinker who respects emotions, they are taking time to sit in their emotions and listen to every other person. Like, they're able to apply their emotional part. Yeah. So a healthy thinker respects emotions. A feeler, we said, are led by emotions. Yeah. But a healthy healer also recognizes that these emotions, if I carry too much emotions, I'm not helping myself. I'm not helping the situation. So what do they do? They use logic as well. Or a planner who would otherwise over control, because we said they want things to be aligned. They don't want anything to be amiss, and that's why they're planning ahead. But a planner who trusts other people, delegates duties, and is able to flow with changes, then that's a person who is existing in a very healthy way. For spontaneous people, we said they avoid, but a spontaneous person who commits, that's a person existing in their healthy state, because they have looked at themselves. They know why they are avoiding, or they are showing avoidance tendencies. They have worked on that, they have healed that part of them, and now they can finally commit. So anytime you recognize that your resilience is increasing, your emotional awareness has heightened, that is you walking a step closer to becoming, or to existing in a healthy way. And I hope by now you notice that personality is not the question here. The question is your personality operating from a wounded point of view, or from a point of awareness? Yeah. Because healing doesn't change who you are. When you say that you want to heal, it doesn't change who you are. It only helps you become a better person, or become who you are meant to be actually. Yeah? And we said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you are meant to be. Remember, that is what we are in pursuit of. So in conclusion, I want you to remember that self-awareness is where your healing process starts. It's where your healing process starts. And healing is where your true personality finally gets to breathe, gets to come out, gets to be seen, gets to be felt. And I'll remind you something I said at the beginning. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will keep controlling you. It will take over your life, and you will call it fate. So this week, ask yourself, where do your patterns show up most? Is it at work? Is it in your love life? Is it in friendships? How does it show up? Does it show up in a wounded state or in a healed state? What are you doing, or what will you do to get yourself to become better? If it shows up in a wounded state, what steps will you take to start your healing process? Yeah. And it's these small things that we've highlighted. Just catching yourself. We said awareness is the first step. Once you're aware, then you are able to do something about it. So please ask yourself throughout this week, or throughout the next 2 weeks before we can release our next episode, ask yourself, where do I individually, where do I assume where do these patterns, me as Sue, where do these patterns show up most? Is it at work? Is it in my love life? Is it in my friendships? And that will dictate for you where you need to put in some work. What triggers you? Yeah. And does it show up in a wounded state? Does it show up in a healed state? What level are you? Are you healed? Are you wounded? You need to ask yourself that, because this can only be a guide and no one can walk this journey for you. You have to do it yourself. You have, because these are self-examination work. You have to be real. You have to be honest with yourself. We can only pinpoint, but we cannot help you walk the journey. This is a journey. You must make a choice to walk the healing journey. And my dear listeners, that is it from the Clarity Couch. Until next time, stay aware, stay growing. I'll see you in our next episode. Also, please do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. By the way, if you've not subscribed, why haven't you? Please subscribe. It's that plus button that you see, I think, on top of your screen. Please just tap on it. Have you? Thank you very much. I'll see you on our next episode. Bye bye.